Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth ever Collaborator Instagram Live Musician Spotlight. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Seth Kitchen, and I run daily operations here in Springfield, Missouri. We run a GPS-based music application where we work hard to get artists more exposure, more revenue, more collaborators for their music. So one of the ways we can do that is through this Instagram Live Musician Spotlight. We can get your stories out there. And another thing we do as well on our Instagram page is post, like, when new albums come out, we can post the cover, or we can post when a music video or something like that happens. We can announce that that's happening. Hey everyone, welcome. Nice to see you all coming in. So I see some first-time viewers, so it's pretty cool to have you. But so if you're interested in sharing your story or sharing your album cover or oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. But if you're trying to share your story or your music or anything like that, you can shoot us a DM and we'll try and get your message out there. So today we have a solo artist. His name is Schuz, and he's from the Pacific Northwest. His latest single is Sum Ting Trippy, and we found him through SoundCloud. He has about tens of thousands of streams on Spotify though. So and he was featured recently by EDM.com. So basically, his electronic sound is kind of rugged and hardcore, and that's what we like about it. It's got some shakers and things like that in it. But so without further ado, let's get him on the call. It's all good, sad boy. We know how it is. Let's see. We'll wait for him to join here.
How's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Seth, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Going great. Yeah, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. So the first question I always like to ask in these things is sometimes it gets rarely highlighted is your name, Schuz. How'd you come up with that? Is it like you like shoes like on your feet, you wear them a lot, or is it like your last name, or how does that work?
Yeah, I actually rebranded. It used to be Schumacher, now it's Schuz. It's a play on my last name. My last name's Schumacher. So just stemmed from that, just so I could kind of have a relatable face to the name. So
it's cool. I mean, I love how you can add like music and stuff at the end, and it just flows. So does that kind of lead into maybe the music scene in the Pacific Northwest and how you kind of got into music, what your kind of background is?
Yeah, definitely. I started DJing in Seattle about 3 years ago. Just knew some people in the industry and started getting into the music that way. Really more, I started playing piano when I was younger. I fell out of it doing school and just being a teenager, a young adult, and just felt like there was something missing and started doing some classes at Point Blank Music School. I'm currently enrolled in the Producer Gojo. Shout out El Gates.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at now, and it's been doing shows here and there in Seattle, but mostly just trying to focus on producing music because that's where the fun is for me, and I enjoy it.
So for people who haven't taken like classes in music, what do they teach you? What are the kind of things that the institute like that would give you?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So a lot of these structured curriculums that are taught in these types of classes are really around arrangement, sound design, really helping you understand music theory. And I think those are important for anyone trying to make music because you need to know how a song is structured, how to create sounds, and really how they flow together. So
sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your music. How would you classify your genre? What kind of box can we put you in?
Yeah. So I've tried to stem that together from some of the songs that I've released, but it's a lot of electronic music kind of infused with trap and bass elements. So try not to be too defined by like trap or dubstep, but more or less just bass music as a whole, just because that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, is just kind of underground bass music. So
sure. So let's see. So your inspirations and stuff like that too. So sure, you have to like listen to someone before you come up with this stuff, right? Do you sit down and have a listening session? You're like, boom, I'm inspired, or are you like walking around someday and something just pops into your head and like that's what I'm going to sit down and do next time? Or is it kind of a combination of that? How does that all work?
Yeah, so generally when I'm writing, it's stuff that I've recorded or heard in a car. A lot of the times using a field recorder. But generally when I'm in a session, I just find a sample or make a drum loop, and usually from there I find inspiration. Like I said, growing up playing piano, I kind of know how to write music, but just having an idea already there and building off of it helps for that creativity. So
So who would you say are some of the big artists that you look up to, or you aspire, or maybe they give you some influence in some of your songs? Maybe you want to feature with them, collaborate, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned one earlier, Il Gates, Bass Nectar, grew up listening to him. Sullivan King is a newer artist. He has a lot of metal, plays guitar on his track, so that's pretty inspiring. Collaborating with someone, though, I think it'd be cool with Il Gates. I mean, he's one of my biggest mentors, and I've already said his name 3 times, but he's one of the people that I've met him at Shambhala 6 years ago, and that was another reason I started kind of getting more into music. So
there you go. Matt,
yeah.
Are you a huge fan of Il Gates as well? Is that what you're saying? Let's see.
I saw the bicep arm.
So maybe walk us through all these, answering that, what your music setup kind of looks like. Do you work in a home studio? Do you go, I said you're in an institute, you record there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how to, oh, here we go. Here's how to flip this on here. So my setup at home, I just have an Ableton push controller, just a normal laptop and 2 JBLs. And then inside of my setup, I just have Ableton. So Ableton is what I use to produce music, but this is just an at-home studio. I'm in my bedroom right now, but this is where I produce music at. So
great.
Yeah.
So you said which DAW do you use?
I use Ableton. A lot of the times I see people use FL. There's Reason. There's a lot of DAWs. I just got lucky, and one of my friends hooked me up with a license 5 or 6 years ago. And any of them work. You just have to be dedicated and sit in the DAW.
Sure. What about distribution? Yeah. What do you use to get distributed?
I use DistroKid. I used to use TuneCore. I've just seen better results with DistroKid, and it seems like it's faster to get distributed, but I know there's a bunch out there, but I've just been successful with DistroKid.
So do you make all of your own sounds, or do you pull sounds from Splice or something like that? How do you get all your sounds using your music?
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally, if it's a drum beat, like I'm making a kick or snare, I'll grab those from Splice. But when it's coming to writing melodies or bass lines, I've been trying to use either Reactor or Serum. Those are the 2 plugins that I use. But just the drum beats themselves, they're just super crisp and already mastered, so I grab those from Splice. Obviously, the arrangement and just grabbing little samples and doing it myself, but Splice is a good resource for people that don't make music. So,
do you compete any of their competitions or anything like that, or is what do you feel? How do you feel about those?
What do you mean compete? Like against other producers, or?
Yeah, so like sometimes like Splice will put up something like, here's a track, go remix it, go cover it, go do something, and then you can win, I don't know what they give away. It depends, money, or they give away, licenses to editors, that sort of thing. Do you think you should do any of that?
I've done some remix competitions in the past. I've been doing a lot of the ciphers on the Audius Discord channel. So Audius just came out. It's kind of like a streaming platform like SoundCloud, but more for the artists. So I've done a lot of their competitions there. I used to do more remix comps in the past when I was trying to get my name out and just practicing and trying to get free stems. But it just depends. But I have before.
Great.
Yeah.
What's going on, Block Boy? Nice to have you. Appreciate it. So my favorite song, I listened to your whole catalog before we did this, and I love Soothing Touch, and then also Annihilate.
Okay.
I think they kind of mix well. It's kind of like represents your unique sound. I don't know if those are your go-tos, but can you kind of walk us through kind of your ideas for these, like how you came up with them, in the process of creating it, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So the first track you mentioned, Soothing Touch, that is part of a catalog that I make music for called Epitome Records. I met them in LA at a production music conference, and that is more of like catalog music for radio, television, like a movie. So more of their songs that they request are either hip hop or lo-fi. So you have to match what the prompt is. So for that, Soothing Touch song is a lo-fi track, and I just grabbed some samples from my library that I had, and it's pretty simple. It's just a bass line, like 808 sub, and some lo-fi drums. and you just kind of have to match the prompt, working back and forth with the director of music. But that's how I made that track. It's pretty lo-fi elements to it. So if no one's heard it, Soothing Touch, it's on my Spotify. Annihilate, though, that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. That's like a really crazy ass song, and that was a collaboration with me and my friend Slick Vic. Shout out Victor Sandoval, love you. But that was super heavy dubstep, I guess, kind of like bass music, and that was him and I working together on the track. And he has some stronger suits in creating bass music. I did some of the drums. It was kind of back and forth. He lives in Seattle, so it was easy to work on that track. But again, the reason why I try to keep my music diverse is because you can focus on one spectrum, but I think being musically talented in all genres is good if you want to get your music on TV, radio, television, etc. But it's up to each artist, right? But I only really promote my heavy music, and then on Spotify, it's just the bank for it all, just because the more streams, the better, right? So that's kind of why those two exist.
Right. So on your collaborations, do you mostly just stay local, or is it a worldwide thing? Have you worked with people like in a different country even, or a different state, or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a track with this guy named Arthur. He's from Italy right now. So that's one person. I've done tracks with people in Boise, Jose Prado, my last track, Sum Ting Trippy, that was with him. So it just depends, but I've done regionally and out of the country. So
how do you meet those people since they're so far away from you?
yeah, good question. The guy from Italy, I met him on Instagram. He just heard my music on the release radar on Spotify and hit me up on Instagram.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes it's through SoundCloud, but again, like the funniest question that people, I think there's memes going around on the internet, is collab, bro. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard to work with people and sharing a creative space unless they're really motivated and they're actually just doing it for fun and like want to collab with you. But again, it just kind of depends on the platform, but I've gotten a lot from Instagram. So
definitely. So one of the things I talked about in the introduction is the tens of thousands of streams that you get on your music, and you're an independent musician, right? So that's a pretty big feat to be able to accomplish. So how do you market yourself? How do you do all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've worked with MMXVAC, which is through SoundCloud and Spotify. They do campaigns for people. A lot of it is just me using DistroKid and marketing, and really focusing on being strategic on your releases. A lot of the times, if you're just releasing like on a Sunday, or I don't know what the best times and days are, I just try to look at stats, but just being able to be strategic about your releases, have networks of people that you can share your music with, is really kind of where I've been successful doing it.
Definitely. So walk us through kind of your biggest struggles and your goals for yourself, and how a platform like us would potentially be able to help you with that.
Yeah, definitely. I guess in regards to my biggest struggles would have to be writer's block. For me, a lot of the times I'll be making music for a while and just get stuck and not really be able to understand why I'm getting stuck. I guess another, just since you brought it up, the collaborator's point of view, another struggle for me is becoming a more well-known artist, having a better reach in the social media realm, and collaborators, I think, could help with that, just because you guys are helping independent artists, help them grow, etc. So, hey, Mermaid Caitlin, I see you. But yeah, those are the two biggest struggles for me, just because in Seattle too, it's very saturated, not in a bad way. There's just a lot of people doing entertainment, music, etc. But just having another source of kind of social media would definitely help as an independent artist. So
yeah, for sure. So what about the future? What are your goals? What are you trying to do, in the next year, in the next 5 years, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I actually wrote some of these down just because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. But one of my goals, either for probably 2020 now, just because we're getting towards the end of the year, is I want to have some of my music placed on a TV show or a movie. I think that'd be really cool just to have your name in the credits, or just being able to say, hey, I made this intro for this TV show on Netflix. So
That would be awesome.
yeah, and I think that's really cool because like you don't have to be a famous person to get your music put on like a TV show, and you can be an at-home producer. So
What kind of show would you want to be on?
probably like a mystery or a sci-fi. I think
Are you thinking like Stranger Things, like that sort of thing?
or I don't know, or like maybe like some sort of like spacey like sci-fi show on Netflix. And again, working with those catalogs are really the only way, because they're kind of like the distro kid or the I guess the person that distributes it for you. So, but yeah, that would be a super cool thing. And then another goal that I have is just to create a passive income from music. I didn't put a number on it just because there are ups and downs. You have some busy months and some not, but music is for fun, but you need to also be realistic and not just pour tons of time and money into it and not treat it like a business. So that's kind of just why I had that written down.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit more about those catalogs that you were talking about? That you're saying like that they distribute to, Netflix, that so they can potentially have your song on there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so the one I was talking about before, Epitome, I met that catalog at the PMC in LA, and what they do is they license music that they accept. So like if they license that lo-fi album that I was on, they would submit it to the music director for a TV show or whoever they have connections with. They go through all the songs and figure out what they want, and if it gets placed, the royalties from both the publishing and writer's share are split up. So I would see money on the back end, right? But they do a lot of stuff. Like we had the keynote from the Netflix, one of the Netflix documentaries was at the PMC a couple years ago, and they are always looking for up and coming producers. And again, it's different types of music. It's not just electronic. Like I said, it's hip hop. You have orchestral. So that's one of the things I've struggled on, is making somatic music. So anyone that's listening right now, they need people that are making cinematic music and orchestral, just because that's what you hear in a lot of TV shows and movies. So,
hey, so Visor wants you to explain what the catalog. Can you spell it out? How it's spelled?
Yeah, it's Epitome, Epitome.
Great. Hopefully it gets that. Maybe he'll message if you didn't. So what would you say to, people that are just getting started, right? What's kind of, you've been through the hurdles and all of that. What would you say people need to do today to be able to start boosting?
Yeah.
That sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say the biggest thing, again, just going back to the having fun aspect. If you're making music, just do it for fun. Again, you're going to be at your own pace. So just ride it out and learn from your mistakes. The second thing is be consistent. If you're at least spending 10 to 30 minutes in the studio every day, you're going to see better results than just from trying to cram it into one day and not being consistent. So consistency for me is just being able to journal in the morning sometimes, and then going into making music or just jamming. Third thing is don't compare yourself to others. I see a lot of people doing this and getting really sour about it. But again, music takes time, and when you're not comparing yourself to others and just learning and growing yourself, you'll see a lot better results. Two more things, always learn. So this is going back to how I started. I grew up playing piano, was taught. I started taking classes at Point Blank, I was taught, right? Just the producer dojo. So all those things, just continuous learning will help you expand. And even if it's not like through a class, just continually watch videos of people that are professionals that can give you good feedback. And then the last one, when you're making music, I would say try to get feedback from people. If you finish an idea or a track, send it out to someone like a friend or someone that makes music, because if you don't know how your music is and you're not sharing it with anyone, it's never going to help you grow. So I would say that's important for someone that's just getting started.
So who do you watch? You said videos, right? Who do you watch to learn stuff? And do you make your own videos? Can people watch you to figure this stuff out? Or
yeah, so I don't make videos, unfortunately. I'm not that comfortable in sharing my production yet. But the videos I started with were Sadowik Productions. Those are on YouTube. Literally the first 60 videos I've ever watched for music production were through him, and those are free on YouTube. And then if there's any videos that I need to learn, like about compression or EQing, just kind of basic stuff, or advanced or intermediate, YouTube works. You just type in what you need to look for, and you can generally find it. But then the other two things that I took, the production classes, they always have video archives, so you can always go in and grab stuff. But just any professionally done video for production, I think, is pretty helpful.
Great. So what's next for you? Do you have a song coming out next month, next 2 months, half a year? Well, what's the timeline looking like?
Yeah, so I can't say too much, but I do have an artist EP coming out in March or April. I'm going to announce that fairly soon on who it's with, as far as the platform. But as far as other new music, I might release a song or two before them, but just trying to focus on the 4-track artist EP.
Great. We're looking forward to it. I'm following you now, so we'll see it.
Cool,
like I said, when you release it, give us a shout out. We'll post it ourselves on Instagram. So
perfect.
Yeah. So that's the end of kind of my question list. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we go?
Yeah, just kind of extra creativity tips for people that are on the line right now. I think what's helped me the most when I am doing production or any DJing, etc., take breaks. It's good to go outside, call someone, walk around, and get your head focused on something else other than music. Because when you're just there, just in the studio the whole time and you're super focused, it helps, but you need to take breaks. It just gives you that creativity, those creativity juices back and flowing. And then another thing is jam just for fun. I know a lot of the times I try to come into the studio and make a track. What's up, Inyaki? But I just jam for fun sometimes. I mean, and a lot of those times from that session of just jamming, I'll come up with a pretty cool idea and save that off. But I think jamming for fun is super helpful for creativity hacks. So
definitely. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, and we look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me. See you guys.
So if you like that, if you like the stories that we do here, go ahead and shoot us a DM, and we'll try and get you on as soon as possible. Also, any other questions you have, go ahead and just shoot me a DM or email me at seth@collaborator.com. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.